I feel like Jasmy is a sleeping giant because the dollar during this bull run, that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, even though nothing I say is financial advice and also most definitely not a guarantee. But here's the thing. When it comes to Jasmy, focus on a very overlooked market, the data storage market. Now, some people out there, they may clown this because they're like, oh, it's boring, it's not flashy, it's all this type of stuff. But in my opinion, being focused on a market that's kind of plain in a sense, that's actually a good thing in my opinion in this case because, due to the fact that it's not flashy, a lot of other projects out there, they're not really focused on this. Naturally, this is going to benefit Jasmy because why? Jasmy doesn't have that many good competitors. You got to think about it. Yeah, sure, there's other competitors, right? Like JasmyCoin, Storage, Arweave, Filecoin. But really, other than that, it's not really all that great in my opinion, arguably speaking, of course. And here's the thing. If there isn't that many options, once mass adoption when it comes to data storage steps in, of course, something like Jasmy is going to have a higher probability to be selected naturally, right? Of course, less options, higher probability. But even besides that, some people out there like to say and argue. They say that, okay, when it comes to data storage adoption, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. Sometimes it takes years. And here's the thing. I get that in some cases. But in my opinion, even the anticipation for that could already be so great when it comes to Jasmy. Why is that? It's because there are many blockchain gaming projects out there, many metaverse projects out there, right, that haven't even launched anything, quite essentially, other than just announcing that they're in the testing phase, all this type of stuff, uploading some pictures. Even beyond that, again, they don't launch anything, but then already we see them, just absolutely skyrocketing. So with that being said, when it comes to the world of cryptocurrencies, again, just even the anticipation for something could already be enough to cause that FOMO, that buying pressure, that buying volume. So that's why when it comes to Jasmy, I believe in it so much. People want to focus on AI projects. And don't get me wrong, I love some of them. Also, when it comes to meme coins, I love some of them too. But oftentimes, people ignore the data storage market. I believe in it. I believe that hype will eventually come to data storage, even though some people argue that, oh yeah, it's too boring for people to FOMO into. But here's the thing, man. Everyone thought that, sometimes in the past, right? Oh, meme coins, they're so boring, they don't do anything. Then what happened? 2021, boom, Shiba, Dogecoin. Everyone thought that DeFi projects were a bunch of caca. Then they also skyrocketed. So when it comes to data storage, I don't see why not. After all, the data storage market is predicted to be worth nearly $800 billion by 2030, according to Fortune Business Insights. That's basically just like 5 years away at this point. We're so close to 2025, it's kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, that's the way I take a look at it. The way I view Jasmy is that basically it's like Tom Brady. You know what I mean? 199th overall pick. Back then, he had a terrible combine video. Everyone thought he was caca, all this type of stuff. But guess what? He's pretty much the best quarterback of all time. And when it comes to Jasmy, I feel like it reminds me of that. Because if you actually think about it, what was so bad about Tom Brady? He had the height, he had the arm, he had the throwing mechanics. Wasn't really bad at all. You know what I mean? So it was overlooked at that time. Big mistake for a lot of other teams out there. Good for the Patriots, of course. But yeah, I think you get my point. When it comes to Jasmy, I feel like it's Tom Brady. You know what I mean? But then eventually, of course, it takes some time. But I understand that. That's why I'm staying patient when it comes to Jasmy. Now, more specifically, some people out there, they like the question, okay, let's focus on the data storage market, but how can it improve it? Because people oftentimes argue that if it can't improve the market, then what's really the benefit? Now, I think that Jasmy is actually revolutionizing this market on top of also improving it. Now, why is that? Because you take a look at how Jasmy, more specifically, is focused on decentralizing data storage. It's focused on data democracy. Now, the special thing about this is the fact that through decentralized data storage, all of the shortcomings of centralized data storage are pretty much gone. Like, for instance, typically these multiple single points of failures, typically controlled by a single entity, quite essentially those, alleged drawbacks, they're pretty much gone through decentralization. Now, of course, it takes some time though, but again, I think it's going to happen eventually, the transition to decentralized data storage solutions, because you got to think about this, right? Why primarily in the streets do we see cars and not like horses like back then? It's because people evolved with the times. They realized that, okay, cars are more efficient. Horses are cool, but come on, man, a car is just far more efficient, especially in this day and age. That's why, I believe that we as humans, we naturally want to evolve to become better, to adopt things that are good. And I don't see why eventually in the future, these enterprises won't adopt, decentralized data storage solutions, much like Jasmy, because I think it's only natural, right? I think as time goes on, a lot of people are going to understand, hey, this could be so special. And I think that eventually once that does happen, it's going to create this snowball effect. Because imagine, right, once this massive enterprise adopts it, maybe another one is going to say, hey, this one's doing it. Okay, let's focus on that. And then another one. It's going to create this avalanche or domino effect. You know what I mean? And again, it's just a matter of time. That's why I really can't wait. Now, what is an added bonus, which in my opinion, Jasmy has over pretty much the rest of its competitors? It's the fact that it's the first ever legally compliant cryptocurrency in the country of Japan. As a matter of fact, because of this, many people, allegedly like to call it, the Bitcoin of Japan, right? Because of this, again. Now, some people out there may think that, oh yeah, being legally compliant in Japan, that's easy peasy, man. That's not even difficult. I mean, seriously, that right there is actually very difficult in my opinion. Japan is a very amazing, country, very fantastic, a very clean country as well, right? You take a look at the streets, it's very fantastic. I've been to Japan, by the way. It's a very wonderful place. But even besides that, becoming legally compliant there is not some easy peasy thing. You know what I mean? It's not like a walk in the park, make me legally compliant. And they're like, yeah, sure. It's not the case, right? When it comes to being legally compliant, again, in Japan, it requires a lot of, stringent, regulations. There needs to be a lot of due diligence. So when it comes to Jasmy being able to achieve something like that, it truly showcases just how special it really is. But I expect no less when it comes to Jasmy because the team is A+, filled with people who have, multiple years of work experience working at places like Sony and KPMG. So that right there is amazing. I think these leaders, right, when it comes to Jasmy, its team members, they're able to control, their emotions. They're able to control their anxiety because you take a look at a lot of other projects out there, once they start gaining some momentum, once they start to improve, the team starts to feel a little bit, I think sometimes nervous because they're not used to it. I think sometimes they're just these developers who made a project, but then suddenly it skyrocketed and they're like, whoa, okay, they've never experienced that. And they're like, okay, what do we do now? They start to panic, they enter panic mode and then they can't really develop the project. Then it kind of ends up being complete caca. Even though, let's say, in some cases, the fundamentals are amazing. Leadership is very important because quite essentially we need that ship captain, right? To steer the ship. You know what I mean? I'm no pun intended, though I'm the captain. But yeah, besides that point, again, there needs to be someone to guide the ship, right? So, of course, when it comes to Jasmy, they have the right leadership, in my opinion. And not to mention, by the way, I have my own community Discord where I do review people's portfolio when people can take a look at also my portfolio. And also on top of that, I talk about my exit strategy, my buying strategy, in great detail, all that type of stuff. So yeah, feel free to join that Discord. You can even ask me questions about, content creation as well. If you want to know, hey, how to make videos, how to grow an audience, how to grow a fan base, how to make a sustainable channel. You can ask me questions about that as well. But yeah, when I take a look at Jasmy, man, I think brighter days are ahead. And again, $1 really wouldn't surprise me. You take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption. I think this bull run could be so amazing. Bitcoin going to the price of $150,000, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever during this bull run. I think this bull run could be that special, especially when you combine that with the fact that there's currently over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. That's how amazing this bull run could be. But again, only time will tell. I think around 6 months to, a year from right now, things could look so different. And even historically speaking, around a year from right now could very well be, a worst case scenario when we see altcoins really do peak. So again, it could happen sooner, but historically this has been the case because again, usually around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event is when altcoins peak as a worst case scenario. The last Bitcoin halving event happened back in April. So of course that means around October next year as a worst case again. But it could happen sooner, granted. But even besides that, my buying strategy is pretty much very simple. Acquiring, holding, and just waiting. That's it. And that way I keep it simple. That way, let's say the price dips, I can still accumulate because I never went all in. But then let's say the price pumps, then hey, I can still not miss out on it because I was holding the entire time. I wasn't trying to find a perfect point to go all in, if that makes sense. That's why, again, I really do believe in the future of Jasmy. I'm just dollar cost averaging, and I can't wait for its future. I think it's that fantastic. And again, $1 really isn't insane at that point, considering current circulating supply. Market cap would be around $50 billion. I mean, come on, man. We've seen Dogecoin reach over 80 billion. This is like peanuts in the grand scheme of things. Again, $1 for Jasmy. That right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.